Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make a moist and delicious vanilla cake using Archana's Kitchen vanilla cake mix. Yes, they are made with the goodness of jowar and barley and whole grains. Absolutely have no maida, no preservatives and no artificial colors. And the best part, they are made eggless and you can make it in a pressure cooker or a microwave convection oven or an OTG. So without wasting any time, let me just dive right in and show you how to put this delicious cake mix together. So the first thing that you need to do is to ensure that you have all your pans ready for baking a cake, right? So now you can bake the cake in various different types of pans. You can make it in a muffin pan, definitely a cake pan, a loaf pan as well. Vanilla cake goes really well in a loaf pan, and you can slice it and have delicious sensible slices. And you can also make it in the the vessel where you actually use it for pressure cooking, where you make it to cook rice and dal, right? So you can make it in this vessel as well, and it's called the rice pan. Okay, wonderful. So now that I have all the pans ready, I'm going to be using this pan to make it in the pressure cooker, and I'm going to be using a loaf pan to put it into the oven. So now my next step is to put all the ingredients together to make the cake mix, and after that we will grease and dust our pan, and then I will show you how to bake it in the oven and also bake it in the pressure cooker. Wonderful. So now to put together the cake mix, what you need to do is to ensure that you have 240 ml of curd measured and kept ready. And typically I like to use homemade curd, the curd which has a little more looseness in it. But if you can also use the store-bought curd, and that's absolutely fine. It's just that sometimes you might need to add a little bit more water, 2 tablespoons or so, to make the batter nice and fluffy because it's thick. And then keep the 80 ml of oil ready as well. Okay, and you can also use softened butter if you don't want to use. Measure 80 grams of butter and soften it. You don't want to melt it completely, but you want to ensure that it is soft, very, very soft. And there's one more ingredient that you need to keep ready, and that's the lemon juice. Lemon juice adds a great taste and flavor to a vanilla cake and heightens the taste absolutely. Okay, that's great. So now that I've kept this aside, I'm going to go ahead and add my Archana's Kitchen vanilla cake mix powder into my large mixing bowl. So now my next step is to add in the yogurt, the oil, or you can add softened butter like I told you, and the lemon juice as well. Now all I'm going to do is to mix all of this up until it becomes a nice, smooth and fluffy batter. As I said, if you're going to be using homemade dahi, there's a little bit of whey in it already, so it'll have the right consistency. If you're going to be using a store-bought dahi, which is a really thick one, then there's not much of whey in that. So if the batter is not fluffy and doesn't fall like I'm going to show you, then add like a tablespoon of water at a time and then beat it up nicely, and that's it. It'll work just great. So now this is wonderful. Just mix it all up, and once the flour has come together, just beat it well for about a couple of minutes until it becomes nice and fluffy. Wonderful. This looks great, and it's got a nice shine to it, and it's nice and fluffy, and this is how it needs to be. It needs to just fall nice and smoothly. It shouldn't be very thick and it shouldn't be very watery. If it's thick, it will not fall down smoothly, but if it's has the right consistency, it'll just fall down beautifully. This is great. So now I'm ready to grease and dust my pans, and after that we will put one of them into the OTG and the other into the pressure cooker. So to grease and dust my loaf pan, I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of oil. You can also add softened butter, and just spread the oil all around really well. And after that, we're going to dust it with flour. So just tap it around so we dust the pan well with flour, and it gets coated all around all the sides of the pan as well as the bottom of the pan. And if there's any excess flour, just dust it and tap it down, and it's ready. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and use the pan which just goes into the pressure cooker, and I'm going to add a little bit of oil into that and then grease it. And once it's greased well, I'm just going to dust it with flour again, tap it all around so it gets well coated with the flour, and any excess flour, just tap it and it all falls down. Wonderful. Now I'm ready to put the cake batter inside. So before we transfer the cake batter, I'm going to show you what we need to do to prepare the pressure cooker with, okay? Wonderful. So now I have the pressure cooker here with me. I have a trivet at the bottom, and I've placed another vessel as well, which is going to sit right inside the pressure cooker. This is so that the cake pan, which is going to sit inside, is at an elevated level from the bottom. If it's too close to the bottom and it's sitting on the trivet, the cake will get burnt from the bottom due to excess heat, right? So we want it to be a little bit more elevated, and this is how we're going to be setting up our pressure cooker. So what I'm going to do is to now cover the pressure cooker. The gasket is still on. Don't remove the gasket. The gasket goes inside. There is no sand, water, salt, nothing that we add at the bottom. We're going to be baking the cake in a low to medium heat, so the pressure cooker is not going to get burnt, okay? So don't worry about it. And we're not going to be using any weight as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and cover this and then preheat my pressure cooker on the slowest flame, right? And preheat it for about good 10 minutes, and after that we'll be ready to put the batter inside. I have my oven which is preheating for at about 160 degrees centigrade already, and I'm going to be placing the cake in the center rack in the oven, okay? Now there are two types of oven that many of you might have. One is a smaller capacity oven, which is a 25 liter oven, which is around 25 liters, right? And the other is a larger capacity, which is around 40 liters and above, right? So now if you have an oven which is 40 liters and above, and it is a convection oven, which means there is a fan inside which circulates the heat, then what you need to do is to turn the heat to about 175 degrees centigrade, and then bake in the oven in the center rack until the cake is done, right? So it takes about 35 minutes even in the larger oven, and about 35 to 40 minutes in the smaller oven, which is about 25 liter oven. So in the 25 liter oven, we bake at 160 degrees centigrade. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and transfer the cake batter into my loaf pan. And while this is getting baked, I'm going to put together the other batter for the pressure cooker. So this looks great. Just give it a tap, and so to release any air bubbles whatsoever, and then I'm going to put it into my oven to bake at 160 degrees centigrade in the center rack for 35 to 40 minutes. So now I'm actually putting the cake batter together for baking in the pressure cooker. So I'm just going to mix it up and whisk it up really well. Okay, this looks wonderful. I'm just going to go ahead and transfer this into my pan, which goes into the pressure cooker. And I'm ready to place it inside the preheated pressure cooker. It's really hot. Just be careful and just place it down. And that's it. So now I'm going to cover the pressure cooker and bake it on low to medium heat for about 40 minutes. And let's just do that. So one of the most important things while baking in an oven or a pressure cooker is that based on the size of your pressure cooker or the size of the oven, the baking times differ. So at about 30 to 35 minute mark, just open the oven, check how it looks, if it's browned well on the top, and if you shake the pan, is it jiggling? And if it seems to be set, take it out and prick a knife in the center, right? And check if it's coming out clean. If it comes out clean, your cake is done. Similarly for the pressure cooker as well, around 35 minute mark, just lightly open the pressure cooker and check if it's done, right? So if it still seems to be moist, cover it back, put it for 10 minutes, and then prick a knife and then check it. You have to ensure that you notice that the top is well crusted. And if it is, then just put a knife in the center, check if it's done. If it comes out clean, then your cake is done. If it's not, bake for a little bit longer. So that's it. So let's wait for our cakes to be done, and then I will show you how both of them look. Both the cakes got ready approximately about the same time. Okay, notice the vanilla cake. The way to test it is, as I told you, just put a knife in the center and it should come out clean without any crumbs. And similarly with the cake in the pressure cooker as well. Both of them have beautiful crust. I love a vanilla cake that has a nice crust on the top, and this is just perfect. I can't wait to cut it and show you how the texture looks. Let me just do that in just a bit after inverting both the cakes and then cutting it. And just release the cake from the edges with a knife as well if it's stuck, and sometimes that can happen. Doesn't that look perfect? And it's nice and warm, and when you press it, it's really soft as well, and that's exactly how a cake should be. And I'm going to cut another slice out. That looks so good. I love a crusty top for a vanilla cake. It's yum. And that's how beautiful the cake looks. It's nice and spongy and it's soft and it's moist and it's flavorful, and the best part, it's made from millets and whole grains, no maida, no preservatives, no artificial colors, absolutely just goodness of whole grains and millets. That's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed watching this recipe of how to make a rich and delicious vanilla cake from Archana's Kitchen Cake Mixes. You got to learn how to make it in a pressure cooker, and you also know how to make it in OTG or a microwave convection oven. Do shop for these cake mixes and then try at home. I have 3 flavors from vanilla, strawberry and chocolate. Do give them a try and I'm sure that you will enjoy all of them. And the links for shopping these cake mixes are in the description below. So go ahead, shop them and enjoy baking these cakes for your family and yourself too. So happy cooking and healthy eating.